Thank you very much. Sip of water before I start. Here we go. Hi everybody, thank you. Thank you for coming out and potentially hearing my story. And hopefully, when I come to gatherings like this, I very much hope that I can take one or two things away. Some of it is a waste of time, but most of the time you can take away something. And hopefully you can take away a little bit of our story in terms of what we had. And actually, before I start and kind of jumping in, come to these talks next month, because I wish I had something like the Bordon Hub 10 years ago when we kind of started, because I'm nodding, oh God, it's disasters, problems, it's just a roller coaster of a ride from that one. So whatever you can do in terms of getting the tools that can help you navigate your way through it all is really good. So I think if you want to come next month, I think I'm just nodding and say, I wish I had that when I first started, but I didn't. So there we go. Right, so who am I? So who am I? And just put it into context in terms of what we do as a company, and maybe some of you might have gone and looked in terms of what GamesQuest is. We are an internet retailer for board games and toys. Okay, sounds absolutely wonderful. But also over the years now we've grown and we've expanded our business, that we are now an international fulfillment company as well. And we'll kind of go into that. But put some context again in terms of the story about who I am, and you can actually relay the story going through. And I hold my hand up, and some of you will resonate that because there are fellow geeks in the room. I am a geek. I'm a self-confessed geek. I'm a complete nerd, and I am, and I'm no apologies, an avid gamer. Okay, I game a lot. Okay, and I love it. It's my passion. Okay, from that side. And more importantly, as the years have gone on, my specialty, if you like, in the world of games is board games. And we're not talking about Monopoly, please. Okay, all right. I don't spend hours in my bedroom playing Monopoly. All right. So that's kind of what I am, and that will put into context the journey in terms of my development, and not just my development, my company's development. It's more than just obviously me on that score. So the title of this is Don't say no until you can't say yes. What do I mean by that? And I'll try and put that in context as we kind of go through. And there's two types of scenarios, if you like. A situational one where your immediate reaction is to go in terms of an opportunity or something that'll come across your path, is to say no. And then the other one is about your vision of where you want to get to and how you want to go. And that vision could be a long way off, and your inclination goes, I'm never going to get there. Well, don't say no until you literally can't say yes. And there's so many opportunities that have come my way, and so many paths have come my way. By taking that attitude has led to actually ascertaining where I need to get to. So it's more like a positive attitude in some ways as well. So where did my journey start? Well, my journey started when I was 8 years old. I didn't know it then, obviously, or did I? In 1974, they launched Dungeons & Dragons. Hands up who knows about Dungeons & Dragons. There we go. So you've all heard of it. And that's when it kind of launched, bizarrely. To see it now, it's a multi-million pound industry and hobby, just D&D in itself, as I like to call it. 4 years later, I played it. I didn't like it, oddly enough. I went and played this system here. And it was called the Fantasy Trip by a company called Steve Jackson Games. And that's what me and my friends kind of got into when we first started getting the hobby. So I was into role-playing. 4 years later, I moved away from role-playing into what was called postal gaming. Now you're all looking at me, what the hell is postal gaming? Well, postal gaming, bizarrely, has been around for absolute decades. People used to do it with chess. That you could be writing on some person in America and you would do your chess move and they would write it back. So it's been around since the early 20s, and since chess was invented, and the postal system, obviously. So I got into play-by-mail games, okay, and I got really into play-by-mail games. And actually, some of my best friends that I've got from here are still with me today. My best man, or one of my best men, because I had two, was actually met him through postal gaming. And it was an immersive experience. It was almost like the social media of today, because you would be, rather than writing online, you'd be writing letters and so forth as well. As a funny story I'll show you, when I was, 15, 16 at the time, and the hormones were starting to go, and you're starting to look around, and I started writing to this this person called Marion. I thought, oh, I'm excited, and then we started corresponding. It was really, really cool, and we were in this game together, and then I got up the courage that I was going to call her. Oh my God, I'm going to call a girl, and it was really, really cool. And she was 63 years old, and it's kind of that's a true story. It's true. Shattered. My illusions were shattered from that side of things as well. Anyway, so postal gaming became, at the time, my real hobby and my real passion. And I've always had that little bit of an entrepreneurial experience, and I always really wanted to potentially run something that I really liked and do. So I had a little bit of a go within that hobby. And in 1986, I launched my first game. It was a game called Infinite Adventures, a hand-moderated RPG. What I mean by hand-moderated, you would write in your action, say, I'm going to go and kill this orc. And I would go, nah, you get your head chopped off. Or something of that ilk. But it was very time-consuming, and it was certainly not a scalable business in any shape, way, or form. It was a hobby. And then for 5 years, I ran a lot of games conventions, and I did, with 4 other people, we launched a little company called Near Death Experience, where we ran... it was all about role-playing murder mystery events, and it was actually quite good. And we did a lot of games conventions, and actually we did some corporate events for people like BP, etc. But we made the fundamental mistake of actually 5 part-time people trying to do something rather than 4 people supporting one person, and it never really kind of engineered and get off the ground. So that kind of went away. And then I properly, because I worked out that actually the only way to make money in this was to do a fully automated computer-generated game when somebody would send their orders in and the computer would spit them out and I'd send them back. So I launched a football game, which the first 6 to 12 months was fantastic. It was really successful. But it failed because customer retention. It wasn't there. The average age was about 14, 15, sending in their £2 a week. And, I couldn't recruit players quick enough to replace the ones that were dropping out. So that kind of went away. It was an unsustainable business. So then I went, well, hey, I'll go and get a proper job now, which is what I did. So in terms of doing that. And in terms of my gaming, I went off RPG. I'd had enough of that. And of course, the digital age came across and I was hooked. I can remember even now as an avid gamer spending until, and maybe some other people in the room can recognise, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning playing Civilization or on my PS2. But the one thing about what I found over the years with that is actually what I missed was that social interaction with people and the ability to bring people around a table together. It was great and it was good fun, and I still do that to a degree, but it was missing that connection, that social connection. And actually around about that time is when the emergence of board games really came to the fore, because actually digital age has proved a demonstration that people like to game, but miss that social interaction. But in 2002, and now we're getting into the story of actually how my business came about. And my greatest discovery in 2002 was eBay. Now I know eBay was around back then, but typical to everybody else, it was like, well, yeah, it's there. What is it? Amazon had launched, and that was kind of relaunching, and that was doing really well. But I remember my brother saying to me, "Nice," he said, "this eBay lark. Yeah, what about it?" He said, "Well," he said, "I bought a psychology book for like 25 quid last year to do my degree. Yeah, and I just sold it for 37 quid. I made 12 quid profit on a second-hand book." Really? Oh, that's interesting. And I remember I went straight to my bookshelf and go, what can I sell? I set my little account. And there was a book by an author called Philip Joseph Farmer. I remember it because I thought I really enjoyed it. It was a set of 5 books. Oh, I know. I stick it on for 99p. See where it goes. See what happens. It sold for 40 quid. So I was hooked. Can't help it. And then I went and raided the bookshelf and listed all my other books that I thought, well, I'm not going to read them again. And I don't know if you've ever sold on eBay in those early days, but when you listed an auction and there was no real buy it now at the time, you'd go red. That's your 99p was in red. Okay, if you set it for 99p, and it went green when somebody got a bid. Oh my God, how addictive is that? How so addictive? I called it the psychology of green. Because it felt so good. It almost empowered you, and it became this hobby. And it was almost a tick of success. that you had done something. And that was really, really good. So it became a real hobby in terms of that. So I was hooked. Country market will be country market, I hope. It became a home from home. Car boot sailing became my life. I couldn't wait to go there, find out what I could discover. You know, started learning all about what a first edition was and how you could spot it in a book. And that became quite an immersive hobby because of that addiction to green, honestly, I kid you not. And then we started to go into board games because, you know, I would spot a game called Colditz, which was an old classic game. And I bought it for a £5. And I run home, how much is it worth? 50 quid! Oh my God! Genuinely, we sort of like quickly scan, hey, we got Colditz this week. And Hero Quest, another game, 30 quid, you buy it for £2. And that became, you know, again, it was good fun and it became kind of a hobby. But there was a downside to that. And if there's anybody in the post office 15 years ago, I apologise, I became the queue maker. I'm standing there with my bags. And in these days, of course, you can go to PayPal and download your postal, put it on there. Oh, back then there was none of that. None of that. And I remember the ladies in the Bordon post office used to beg me, please, Nigel, come in, 9 o'clock on a Saturday, please. Because the people behind me had been burning laser eyes into my back as I created this queue. So any time after 9 o'clock, I became the queue maker. They used to call me the queue maker from that side of things as well. So Celtic Goddess books became the vehicle to kind of take this forward. And then for 2 years from that time, it was a hobby. And our first child was going to be born. And Emma was looking, who's my wife, was looking to say, well, am I going to go to bad at work? What are we going to go and do? How can we afford to do that? So we came up with, well, look, why don't we launch Celtic Goddess Books? And why don't we do what we're doing on a part-time basis and you could be a work-from-home mum? Because we knew we could probably generate enough money from our experience of doing it as a hobby in terms of doing that, which is what we did. So for 5 years, it was a lifestyle business as we had our second child as well. But why did we stop? If it was so successful and we can kind of do that, why did we stop? It was unsustainable. Lifestyle equaled life stealer. Genuinely. 8 to 9 car boot sales on a weekend, every single weekend, became a slog. And our life, we didn't have a life because we would rush to get more and more stock in order to maintain that level of living that we needed to do to bring up the children, etc. And I got fed up of being a queue maker. I used to work in Putney and I had to get to work early to go to the post office when it opened and became a queue maker there. So that wasn't really a sustainable business. So how could we take that next step? Because second-hand products is, you have to nurture, you have to keep doing it. And for lifestyle, it was good. So this is where Celestial Games and Books was born. This was the next evolution. We came up with the idea of saying, well, why can't we sell? We know our market, we know our product, we're passionate about it. What can we do now to take that on to the next level? So we launched Celestial Games and Books with another part-time mum, Amanda, and Emma, who were best friends. I was still working at the time. I quickly joined. I got made redundant. And, excuse me, just a quick drink. I got made redundant, so I took the opportunity to say, well, look, I've got some redundancy money, why don't I kind of jump into this as well? So the three of us kind of drove that business. And we came up with the idea of going, well, if we can get a stock list from a supplier, because we didn't have a huge amount of money, and by the way, we didn't have a big business plan either. How silly was that at the time? It was more on a concept and an idea that we'd already proved what we could do. We knew what to do on eBay. So we got a real-time stock list from a supplier. He's a local now supplier. I don't know if you know of Asmodee, who have just moved into the area. But when they first started, they were a company called DVM Games. So we got the stock list from them, listed all the stock that they had, lots of in stock, put it on eBay, and started selling. Well, we started selling quite a lot. And this was in my house. This was in my house, and Gillian will know, because Gillian was my next door neighbour, and Claire will know, because she was my next door neighbour. And this was in my house, literally in the garage. And we had that. And our first Christmas, I can remember my daughter's baby changing unit. It was 3 levels, and my packing station, literally it was my packing station in terms of doing that. So eBay was pretty successful. Oh my God. What we didn't realise, and hindsight is a lovely thing, of course, and the hindsight, that's why I say come next month and listen to these things, because hindsight is amazing, if I only had it, is that we literally became Excel slaves. Back in those days, there was no automated down report for eBay to bring that out. It was just like literally myself and Emma would be typing in all our sales into Excel spreadsheets. We were up to like the wee hours of the morning, plus having to try and make listing. It was just ridiculous. And it was an unsustainable model because there was no real automation in terms of what we were doing. And also we started getting negative feedback because even though we started to build up our stock because we could see better sellers, some of the stuff was not in stock at our supplier, we started getting negative feedback. It was unsustainable. Luckily, I came from a software IT background. Don't ask me how it works, I just sold it. And I knew that there must be, and what I was really good at in my previous career was ascertaining a commercial benefit and applying a solution to that commercial requirement, if you like, rather than benefit. So I thought there must be some e-commerce, there must be something out there that can automate this for us. And I discovered the world of e-commerce software. Now, it was still in its infancy, but there were some really good tools out there. And I did a kind of beauty parade and picked up a product that was suitable for us called eSeller Pro. Oh my God. It was a fundamental change in how we operate our business. And it opened up not just the UK and eBay, it opened up the blinking world. If somebody had said to me that I would be trading on Amazon US and Amazon Germany and Amazon Canada and all around the world from my little bedroom, I was like, what? It was a byproduct that, again, we did not realise. But this is what e-commerce software and technology opened up. And I likened it, and if you think, oh my God, don't get kind of overwhelmed by it. It literally is country market on a global scale. It's a big, giant car boot sale. And certainly one man's junk is another man's treasure. We've learned that unbelievable wise. And some things in the UK and Germany don't sell will go flying off in the US. So that opened up that global world for us, which is pretty exciting. So how do we evolve from that to where we kind of are? Because we were trading, quite happily away. And I'll kind of show you some of the moves that we've made in terms of our progression. But we then had to rebrand because we'll talk about branding and how you kind of do that. Selling on third-party websites, brand was almost inconsequential because it was Amazon, the brand. We didn't have the identity. And we're selling on eBay, even though people knew our name. Was there a level of repeat business? So we knew we had to kind of maybe do our own website, etc. as well. So GamesQuest emerged from that. We rebranded. We went, well, what synergizes with our name and our passion? Celestial says nothing. So we rebranded to kind of GamesQuest from that side of things as well. So some of our highlights in terms of where we're going to go, and I've done this in one slide. Go back to what I said about not saying no until you can't say yes. Insomnia 49. What is Insomnia? Insomnia is a massive computer festival, a massive gaming festival where literally 5,000 people will sit in a dark hall on their computers, all networked, all playing their very different games. It was the emergence of, I don't know if everybody knows the technical term of esports. Have you ever heard of esports at all? So esports is an ongoing thing. It's multi-million-pound business now. But back then it was kind of whatever. So we went there. I got a letter from a guy saying, we're a gaming festival. We want to add board games to our gaming festival. Yeah, you're trying to sell me something. Yeah, it's just usual bluff. You're trying to sell me something. And so I kind of pursued it because there was no way that we had the capabilities of potentially doing a big show. We weren't at that stage. But I couldn't say no. I couldn't. So I took him up to a massive board gaming festival that I planned to do maybe the following year. And he didn't show up. And I was literally leaving and he literally walked through the doors. That's how kind of close things can be in business, I thought. And he went, I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, okay. So I took him round there. Now, luckily, I knew the guys at Asmodee. Now, I couldn't do it, but I knew in collaboration with Asmodee, because they had a demo team, that I could possibly do it if I could blag it. So I took him in there and he went to see the Asmodee stand and he went, this is what I want. Like, this is what I want, make it happen. I go, oh shit, he's serious. Genuinely, I went, really? Yes, no, I want this, Nigel, make it happen. Oh, okay, shit. By this time I had moved warehouses and I did have a little bit more. So I went back and I spoke to Mike, who was the demo guy, and I said, can you do that? Yeah, we'll support it, we'll do it. Right, ticking the box, went back, sat down with Amanda, went, Amanda, what have you done? Kind of gone, I don't know how we're going to do this. Now, luckily, she was the organisational spirit. She could organise anything, and she took that on, and we made it happen. I should have said no, I didn't, because things had become where we could then say yes. We've done now 15 shows, and it's a cornerstone, 2 shows a year, cornerstone of business, generating revenues of over £100,000 per year. We sell swords to people. Lord of the Rings swords, all sorts of things. It's great, it's exciting. So the following year, we went on the sets, we did our first UK board game festival. It's one of the biggest, now the 4th biggest show in the year for board games. And that was really exciting. And now we're into our 5th year. And now it's us generating revenues of, £50,000 a show every year that we go. It's a cornerstone of our business. So that we kind of grew, and our business then grew to show. I eventually took on a show manager who now does kind of all my shows. And in 2015 was the change that really transformed our business, because e-commerce is a really tough market. I mean, really tough. High volume, low margins, the opportunity to grow. And one of my customers recommended a publisher in America called Dr. Finn Games, who was looking for, and everybody heard of Kickstarter. Hands up, who've heard of Kickstarter? So if you don't know what Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform. If you have an idea and a concept, and you don't have the cap to do it, if you'd invented a board game back in the 70s, you would have gone to Hasbro and Waddington's and they would have said no, and you'd have to self-fund it. Kickstarter allows you to launch that board game on Kickstarter. People from all around the world will like it, love it, back it, and you could potentially have 1,000 backers, and then you obviously have to have the logistics to be able to post that out to everybody. This is again a bit like eBay. I kind of knew it was there, but hadn't really kind of looked into it. And he recommended his publisher to us, who wrote to us and said, could you distribute in the EU my 100 games from a Kickstarter project? Yeah, I think so. Well, I do it anyway for myself, so why can't I do it for you? So he went, great, so how much are you going to charge? And I went, I'll tell you what, my postage charge is tenner, I'll charge you $12.50. There we go, I'll make $2.50 a game because it's, my overheads are already covered by what I'm doing. And he sent his game over. And then we did it. And we went, oh, you did a really good job. Thanks very much. Oh, meet my friend Ed. Ed's got a game coming out. Can you do his as well? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I've got another one coming up in a few months. Oh, okay. Right. How many do you do a year? Or 3 or 4. And you're quite small. Oh, okay. So we did a lot more, and then a few other recommendations. And one of my friends who is an avid gamer and a customer, who's now a director in the business, I had a meeting with him in Container. I said, Andy, do you fancy coming on board and giving this fulfillment lark? And I need somebody to drive that business. I think there's something in it. Yeah, all right, give it a go. Yeah, great, okay. Within a year, from our small warehouse, we were generating revenues of 750,000 to £1 million. We won big contracts. My God, guys, we were punching above our weight. Oh my God, seriously, 2,000 square foot warehouse, we did not have enough space, nowhere near enough space. But we kind of moved on. We then moved to Bordon Trading Estate, but we didn't know I had the money to buy a big warehouse. But collaboration is key, guys. Talk to people, because I knew the guy on our site called Viking, and he was buying a warehouse. I said, can I move with you, Jake? Yeah, I don't need this whole warehouse. Come over with me. That'd be great for me. Okay, that'd be great too. So we moved in. We only took a small proportion of his warehouse. They then went, our publishers, the biggest board game festival in Essen, and all our publishers were going, can you take our stock over to Essen? And well, if we're going to take yours, we might as well go as well. I was bricking it. I've been to Essen before, but never traded there. Oh my God, guys. Don't say no until you can't say yes. I'm glad I didn't do that one, because it's now bigger than the UK show. And most of our expenses going over is covered by our publishers. It's really good. So in 2018, we launched our own software, ShipQuest, and the portal for customers. I went to America. If somebody said to me 10 years ago when I started my bedroom, I'd be going to America to the second biggest board game show and meeting all my customers and potentially getting new customers, well, I would have. And I'll tell you a story at the end about how successful that is. And really, I should have said no, but I'm glad I didn't. And we then opened in 2018. And if you really want to look into my world and get just as addicted and passionate about it, go to Dice in Portsmouth. What is Dice in Portsmouth? We're part owners of a board game lounge in Portsmouth, which is very family orientated, great coffee, great teas, and you will have a board game experience. I promise you, and Louise will testify this, she was looking at me dumb, and I've just walked in, I play double, it's great. You will never play Monopoly again, because we all know about Monopoly is lovely, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's torture. We will show you a world of board games that will open your eyes to the sheer diversity and fun element of family board games, as well as, you know, your niche kind of other games as well. But it's all about family board games, and it's entertaining. There are people there that will show you. Dice Portsmouth has been a phenomenal success for us and our partners, and we've done that in collaboration. It's not something that I've done. There was two of us, Andy, myself, and one of my investors wanted to do it because he's a board game nut as well. And we met two guys in Portsmouth that were going to do it. We all got together in a pub. It was a bit afraid to start with, turn on my turf, you're turning on my turf. Well, why don't we do this together? And we didn't know these two guys. Now they're our friends and our business partners. And we've done this in collaboration. And it is a huge success. We've expanded this year. What's this year? We've expanded. We're now moving into publishing. I've collaborated again with a young man called Joe who ends up working with me. We're going to launch our first board game in collaboration with him. And actually, we were going to launch it last year, but we've ended up collaborating with another company in America because they loved it when they saw it in Essen, and it's gone kind of further, so we can potentially look at publishing as well. This is my moves. For you to visualize that journey, that's the garage. That's Liss Business Park. We took a little 900 square foot warehouse at the back of that when we first started. And just to point, when I was in the garage, it was just the three of us, and then we employed a part-time lady, and then a lady called Sally who came in and did some part-time packing for us the following year. And then we moved to Liss, and then we employed a couple more people. And then we moved to Ham Barn Business Park. And believe me, we dreamt about that. We went, when we first looked, we could move into Ham Barn Business Park. Look at it, it's so cool. And we moved there. And we were there for a number of years, 3 years. And then we moved to Bordon Business Park with Vikings. When I first started this business, and you dream and you have aspirations, we all do it. It's like winning the lottery, isn't it? Oh, I wish I would be a millionaire. I wish when I go to business, I wish I'd be a millionaire. That may happen if I ever sell my business, but I now employ anywhere between, and come Christmas time, up to 70 people. I now regularly employ 40 people. Genuinely, I get so much of a kick out of that. It's a hell of a responsibility, but I see people developing and growing, and I get more of a kick out of employing people and enabling people and seeing them grow than I think I ever will. All right, I'll have my cake and eat it. I'll be a millionaire as well. It'd be lovely. But that's kind of, you visualize your kind of growth in terms of what can come up there. What is success? I'll let you ponder that. Some people say, I'm not going to stand here in front of you all big-headed and go, look at me, I have a £4 million turnover, I'm successful. I'm not. In some respects, my team said to me, you are successful. Yes, I am, to a point, because I'm still on that journey. And I laughed and joked when we were talking about the talkers you're going to have about disasters and your pitfalls. Oh my God, if you saw me at the end of last year, you know, we were massively overtrained. We tried to do so much too quickly, and it really burned us. I mean, seriously, emotionally and everything else to do with that. So it comes with a lot of pain. Am I successful? Yes, I think in some degrees I am, but I'm on a journey. I'm still on that journey, and it is a tough journey. So I did the web and go, well, how do you determine success within a business? How do you determine, am I actually genuinely successful? And I trawl the web and go, like, well, what's the definition of success in business? Is it making millions of pounds, or is it a combination of lots of things? And some things resonated with me in terms of what is a success and how can you be successful. Because I guarantee you I'm not making huge amounts of profit because I'm a bit like Amazon. I've been reinvesting in growth of my company. So you look at Companies House, you're more than welcome to, it's all out there. You won't see GamesQuest making hundreds of thousands of pounds. Break even, if I'm honest. That's out there for public knowledge, you can get that. But as I say so, and these are some of the things that resonated with me when I do it. You create value. The business has value intrinsic because you can turn over millions of pounds, sat away in a Harry Potter under your stairs. Does that really create value? Is that success? Yeah, you can tick a box, you're making money, but is there value in the company? There's now intrinsic value within my company. We own racking, we own processes, we own ShipQuest. There is value within my company. Ethical trading. If you don't trade ethically, and this kind of really resonates, if you don't trade ethically, if you're not ethic with your customers, if you're not trading ethically with your staff, there is no value in your company. If somebody wants to come in and buy your company, a partner, or invest in your company, there's no value there. Operating legally. Believe me, there will come a time when your cash flow is hit and go, I'll cheat in my VAT return. Oh, they won't notice, I'll make it up. Don't do it. Do not be tempted to try and do anything that is not legal or bending the truth, because then you will get found out. At some point, you will get found out, and then any value that you have in your company is nothing. And therefore, you will not be a success. And your company is then not successful. The next one really resonated with me because I kind of discovered this as well. As a company, as you grow, it has to become independent of its owners. If I get hit in a car crash tomorrow, can my company survive without me, without Emma? Will it be able to survive? I think I'm at that point now that I'm fairly confident that it could survive, that it could carry on growing, that I could retire at some point. That'd be nice, and play board games all day. So it has to be independent of its owners. It has to survive by itself. Profit. I don't know if anybody watched Dragon's Den. If you don't, watch it. It's fantastic. And you get some absolute pearlers. And I remember one time Theo was talking to one of his guys, and he said that cash flow profit doesn't kill your customer, your business. It's like the poison. If you don't do something about it, in the long run, it will kill it. But cash flow is kind of what will kill your customers. But profit is important. Of course it is. And whether you use that profit to growth like we've done, it's all a matter. But obviously you need to be in profit. Adding value. What do I mean by that? Adding value is really critical. If you can have a business like our e-commerce business is very low on repeat business. So you have to add value in terms of making sure you deliver in time, good customer service, etc., etc. But there will come a time, like we did with the fulfillment market, that we rely heavily on repeat business. These people do 3 or 4 projects a year. We have to add value. We have to have it's not just about posting your parcel, it's about packing it right. It's about pre-sales consultancy, we've learned so much about Kickstarter, and adding that value so that their success. We treat it like a partnership. The more information and support we can give them, the more backers I get, the more parcels we'll ship. That's really important. Sustainable employment. If you rely on just treating your staff to come along, do a job and go, you will not retain your staff. They will not stay, full stop. We are not the best payers in the world, but we offer a platform that people can potentially develop and grow, and that is evolving all the time. We have people that start in the warehouse that then move into customer services or move into other roles within the company. And we try, and we're not perfect, but we do try to give that sustainable employment for people. And make it a fun environment to do that. The rules and regulations are great, but try and make it a fun environment for people to come and work, and then they want to show up to work, and they can grow. I think is really, really, really important, and that's something that we've kind of done as well. What has been my most valuable lessons over this period of time? That if I could turn the clock back, I could potentially do something, or by pure luck. We've been in that position. Company type. What do I mean by type of company? When I got made redundant, my boss, who I got on really well with, and I was telling him what I was going to do, he went to me, "Oh, so you're going to do a lifestyle business then?" I went, "No, I'm not going to do a lifestyle business. That's not what I want. That's not what I want to do. I think I can do this something bigger than that." And choose what you want. And it's really important. And there's nothing wrong with lifestyle business. I'm not trying to put down lifestyle business because it's all about the individual. But choose what you want to do. Because if it's a lifestyle business, it's fine. You can take whatever cash is available. You can take it out. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, you have to grow the company to maintain that lifestyle to a degree. But if you're going to choose that you don't want that you want a growth company, you want to end up with a £4 million turnover employing lots of people, then you have to make a conscious decision right from the word go. I used to say there's 4 people in my business. And people go, "Oh, there's you, Amanda, and yourself." No, there's me, myself, Amanda, and Celestial. And we treated Celestial Games as its own individual, as an equal partner in the business. And we made sure that we grew it. And if we could not afford to take money out because the company needed it, we grew it. We treated it like an equal partner. And that's important, depending on where you want to go and what your vision is, to make sure that you realize what you want from your company to start with. Accountant. Is there any accountants in the room? Good. And I'll say this genuinely. Do not employ a bookkeeper. Employ an accountant. Okay?
We've got both. So.
Yeah, we've got both. But if you're going to grow a company, then you need a good accountant. A good accountant learns from all the other people that she deals with and will have valuable lessons and will be able to actually become almost like a mentor to you. And I hope I'm resonating with you here in terms of what you want to do. Luckily, Amanda's brother was a very, very good accountant. And I remember after the first year in the January, after we did Christmas, because we did so well, we took money out and then we went, "Shit, we got no money." At the end of January, we can't pay our bills. And he went, the classic mistake of a failure of a business, 90% of business fail in the first year because they fail to provision. Great if you got 100 grand and you can provide because you've invested that and you've got the money to do that. But if your cash flow, you have to provide. You have to go, "Shit, I'm going to need this money at the end of this month." Provision is really, really important. So get yourself a really good accountant because they can be really, really good. And setup is important as well. Don't rush and speak to your accountant. Don't rush to go in and get a limited company. Start with a partnership. One of the great things that we kind of did through our accounting was like, why are we starting to, why can we get, trust me, don't set up as a limited company, do as a partnership. Okay. 3 years later, when we moved from Celtic Gods, we then set up Celestial Books Unlimited. Don't ask me, I'm not an accountant, but it was crazy. I said, we're selling this partnership to this company for £300,000. Yeah. And we're all the same people. Yeah. And then we pay corporate tax at 10% on that, and then we owe that money, and then we only have to pay tax at 10% based on when we draw down. Yeah. Oh, now I know why I pay you lots of money. Genuinely, I haven't paid tax, and it's not a dodge. I've just been drawing down on my director's loan, so it's really, really. So think about that long term. Get an accountant. Get some really good advice in terms of how you set up, and don't rush what you think is. Oh, I get a limited company. Might not be the right thing for you. EIS investment, the Enterprise Investment Scheme. And hands up who have heard of that. Okay, it is brilliant. If you are looking at investing up a new co, okay, go and study and talk to your accountant about EIS investment, okay? And if you then, as you grow and you're looking to get people to invest in your company, the EIS is amazing. Why? So let's imagine your investor is earning £100,000 a year, and they obviously paying a high rate of tax. Okay, can you invest 20 grand in my business? 20 grand. Yeah, I will do, because if he does an EIS investment, he gets 50% of that 20 grand back from tax relief. So actually, he's only investing 10 grand or risking 10 grand in your business. And he can't touch it for 3 years. EIS investment and that sort of stuff is really cool. And I've had a few people, and Kevin in particular, who's my accountant, and an avid gamer, support my company, and he's invested through EIS investment. And in fact, we did Dice Portsmouth through EIS investment, so reducing your risk. So it's really, really cool. So definitely kind of looking at that one. Employees. I don't know how many people have heard the phrase, don't employ families and friends, they're a nightmare. That's rubbish. That is absolute rubbish. Employ your friends and your family if they think that they can map into your business. The true friends and true family give a shit. Excuse my French. They care. They see your passion. They want you to succeed. And they give you everything. And they're willing to work even harder. My inventory team who do all my listing is my brother, his wife, and my nephew. And they all work remotely in Wales. And I don't have to manage them because I know they care. They know they care about me and they know they care about the business. So families and friends, we've grown our business through mutual contacts and families and friends. And it's really, 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 really worked for us. So I think it's really, really well. And they share your passion. Automation, 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 automation is critical in your business. If there's one thing you want to take away from doing your business, look at automating. Don't be Excel slaves. Get software that can help you. When we started one of the reasons we developed ShipQuest, and it cost me 30 grand to do it, but I was spending 6 to 8 days downloading reports, turning it into an invoice to send out to the people. It is critical. Processes, get processes. And believe me, I was nodding at what we were saying earlier. Oh my God, yes. Because we punch above our weight sometimes, frequently. We sometimes don't have the procedures and processes in place. Last year was a real lesson. So try. It's not always great. You can't get it always right, but try to visualize where you are, because now I've actually got some better people in terms of my recruitment, and now I've got better people in place that I feel so much more confident in. Actually, I've learned from what we've done and put in lots of procedures, and we can scale up to the next level potentially. So it's really important. Technology, do not be frightened of technology. For God's sake, people, technology will save your life. It will help you with the process. It will help you with your automation. I take phone calls from people trying to sell stuff. I never used to turn away a phone call, because you'll never know. Actually, listen, resonate. Sometimes something will pop in and you go, oh, hold on, I could use that. Brand's really important. Talk to this man. Get your brand, if you can, sorted out from the very beginning. Get your website sorted out at the beginning. We failed at that because we grew from third-party websites. I'm probably still failing at it, if I'm honest, on the e-commerce side of it. It's something that we're going to have to revisit again. SWOT. There are loads of businesses. What am I SWOT? Everybody heard of SWOT? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I don't have a business degree. I have no qualifications whatsoever. I came out of college with like 2 GCSEs and a general business studies in BTEC, which is equivalent to O-level. But some of the things I've learned, I'm a kinetic learner more than anything. I can't study for the love of me. But SWOT is a strength, weaknesses. You get a grid, divide it into 4, strengths in one, opportunities in another, weaknesses in that one, stretch in that one. Go and look at what we mean by SWOT on the internet and do your SWOT analysis. So for example, Amazon for us was a strength, it was a threat, it was a weakness, and it was an opportunity. It literally was all 4 bottom quadrants in terms of doing that. But doing a SWOT analysis is really good to understanding where your thoughts are. And it's really simple to do. ... That's where I think my things are. It's really important. It's a really useful thing to do. Now, the last but not least, passion. I cannot tell you. If you watch something like Dragon's Den, sometimes they invest in the person rather than the actual, or a little bit of both. Be passionate at what you do. Care about what you do. And the reason for that isn't just about it'll keep you going through the dark days, and there will be dark days, trust me. But what your passion for what you do, and it will carry you through. But equally, it will open doors. It will open doors for you. People invest. I remember my first investment through IS was a couple of guys, Kevin being one of them. He brought his friend Paul, who was a gamer. And Paul was, I've seen this other thing, I'm going to invest in that. This doesn't look very good. By the time I finished with the coffee, he went, I love your passion, I love your enthusiasm, I want to invest and buy into that. Not only will investors, but people, customers will buy into that, because passion becomes trust. And when people trust you, they will use you. Never lose your passion. And believe in yourself. There will be times when you have a vision of where you want to get to. Believe in yourself. Believe in what you're doing. Believe in where you're going. because that will bring people along with you. Enable enablers. What do I mean by that? Look, I had no experience in business, and I am amazed at the community. Here in this room, you have enablers. People that will help you enable your business. And during your business and your journey, you will come across people who will want you to succeed. And if they can benefit from that success, they will able. And I tell you, and I'll tell him to his face that my landlord is the landlord of the year, Jake, who owns the building and from Viking, whatever. And there's a really good story. When we moved in, I knew he hated the guys at Ham Barn. Sorry if anybody knows him personally, but he had a bad experience. And I had the warehouse. And when we moved, my customer, through fulfillment, I won this potentially big contract. And they came down the warehouse and they went, "Nice, great you moved, nice, but you've got enough space." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "How much stock have you got?" And he sent me a stock list. Oh, shit. Shit. I knew I should say no. I knew. But I thought, oh, God, if only I had a mezzanine, I could double the space I've got. So I went to Jake and I said, "Look, Jake, I'm going to have to keep the other place in Ham Barn." "What are you doing that for? What are you staying there for?" "Well, I'm going to have to do both." "No, yes, no, yes." That's how the conversation went. I said, I can't afford that. I've just moved. I can't afford 10 grand for a mezzanine. I haven't got the money. So I plant the seed. 2 hours later, "How much do you need?" 10 grand. "I'll build it for you. You're not staying there." I said, "You're joking." "No, you can pay me back monthly, 500 quid a month for the next year and a half." Oh my God. He didn't need to do that. I didn't have to sign a piece. I didn't have to sign a loan agreement. He was an enabler. And I genuinely was touched by that. There are people out there that will help and support you grow. And they will benefit from it. And in turn, let that circle come around. If you have an opportunity to help people like I'm here today, if I can help you, enable you, if any questions you've got afterwards, please, I'm happy to help. Happy to help. I haven't got 10 grand, but I'm happy to help. What is our future? What does our future hold? Hands up if you heard of Brexit. Brexit for me isn't an opportunity. It isn't a strength. It's a weakness and a threat for me personally and my company. It is. I have to offer custom-friendly shipping to my customers so that their customers don't pay back. I have to offer that. If I don't offer that, I potentially can lose a shitload of business. I could go out of business. Genuinely, that's how close it is. Now, I'm talking to people in Germany, I'm looking at partnering, and et cetera, et cetera. But it is a real threat. In some circumstances, though, it can be an opportunity. Look at it. If everybody goes, "Oh my God, all the duties," you look at a contract, there is no duties on products going into the EU. There isn't. There's VAT, but there's no duties. 90% of products going into the EU now, there is a contract in place that will say there's no duties. So there is opportunities for you, unless, like me, you have to offer custom-friendly shipping. But don't be frightened by it. And if you need any logistic support, I know a really good company around the corner called GamesQuest that can help you in terms of doing that. So we could potentially move into distribution, where we can start selling through our publishers into trade, into shops. That's something. We're now looking at publishing. We're starting to develop that. And I've got some ideas in terms of partnering with designers to go set up new codes and stuff as well. But it kind of goes through that one as well. I'm going to finish up with another story for you. Another story about synergy and collaboration. I go back to my slide with the fantasy trip. Now, when I went to Gen Con, one of the biggest publishers in there, the company called Steve Jackson Game, they got lots of really big games, and they had a big stand. And it was my first time in the US. And even though I'm kind of a confident character, they've probably got their EU logistics sorted out, probably. And this defines in terms of belief and passion about what you do. And I was walking along, and I said, and bear in mind that the fantasy trip had been out of print for so many years, 18 years been out of fantasy trip. Launching on Kickstarter, the fantasy trip. Oh my God! And I tell you, it was like this. I was like a big school kid, run on the stand. "Oh my God, you're relaunching fantasy trip. This is so exciting. This is what I played as a kid, blah, 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 blah. When's it launching? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Oh God, and do you know what? If you need European logistics, and I'll tell you, oh, we're desperate for that." What? Really? Hi, Nigel. Okay. And suddenly my home, and from that meeting, from my passion and my enthusiasm and my drive, I won that contract. They are now a partner. Not only now a partner from that meeting, we're going to Essen together, and they're sharing our stand with us. And they got demonstrators, and we're bringing their stock over from America, and we've now run about 3 or 4 campaigns from them, and they've become a real partner. And it's really cool, because I've got 2 daughters, how things come around in terms of synergy and how the road comes around. So my daughter and her 5 friends all wanted to do a role play experience, and I GM'd the game for my daughter and her 5 friends or 4 friends of the fantasy trip around my table. And they were 14, exactly the same age as I did when I first started role playing, and that was lovely. Though GMing 5 girls is not good. Talk about herding cats is a kind of another matter. I know you might have lots of questions, and I know we're going to come back to that afterwards in terms of some of the questions you have. I'm more than happy to help them, and I'm more than happy. I've got business cards. I'm more than happy that if you ever want to drop me an email and ask me any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them from that perspective. But thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nigel.